So, Hawaiian Butter Mochi, it's chewy, it's sweet, and it's awesome. It's also Hawaiian, but not really. It's more like an Eastern or Southeastern Asian dessert, and you'll probably have to get one of the ingredients at a local Asian market. And Asian markets are honestly amazing because you never know just what you're going to find. But as for all the ingredients, here they are. So this recipe involves 2 cups of sugar, a stick of butter, a 12-ounce can of evaporated milk, 4 eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 full 13.5-ounce can of coconut milk, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 pound of glutinous rice flour. So you may have to get your glutinous rice flour at your local Asian market, and typically you can either find it as this, or you could also find it in a box from Coda Farms, and it can either be called glutinous rice flour or sweet rice flour or even sticky rice flour. So let's start by melting the butter. I'm going to be heating my melted butter for a bit longer than usual to make something known as brown butter. This has a nutty and kind of caramely flavor, which I think will add to the flavor of this dessert. Alright, so now the brown butter is done. As you can see, it has a nice brown color, but it is very easy to burn the butter. We'll start by adding the brown butter to the sugar. So now we will add in the eggs. Boom, boom, boom. Then we'll add in the vanilla. Two teaspoons of the baking powder. So I'm adding in the glutinous rice flour now because it's easier to remove clumps in your dough when it is thicker. And there is no concern of overworking this dough because glutinous rice flour does not actually have any gluten in it. After adding in about half of the flour, I'll add in the evaporated milk. And then I'll add in the rest of the glutinous rice flour. The dough currently is very thick, but that's alright because we still have to add in the coconut milk. And I will be using a light coconut milk, which has less fat content than typical. And there we go. We have created the Hawaiian Butter Mochi batter. And typically for the full recipe, it would go into a 9 by 13 pan. However, it can also go into 2 8 by 8 pans. This batter will go into the oven at 350 Fahrenheit for up to an hour. There we go. So now the height of the dough in these 2 dishes is roughly the same, and I'll go put them into the oven for about an hour and we'll see how they turn out. Okay, so I don't have any video of me eating the mochi. Well, actually I do, but it's just 10 minutes of me silently eating and staring at the mochi, so I'm not going to include that. But anyway, I've made this butter mochi recipe 3 times now, and I recommend to make a half recipe as opposed to the full recipe that I made in this video, since it's just a more manageable amount. And I also recommend to cook the mochi for the full hour. Even though it might seem like a lot of time, it is the right amount of time.